See all the devotees here today and to be with all of you who are tuning in online from various places around the world, because today we're under the shelter of Lord Nrsimhadev and the divine energy. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita bhajantyananya manaso gyatva bhutatim avyayam. The devotees relish taking shelter of Krishna, and therefore they don't experience the material world like others. Just like a little fish. It's surrendered to the water, and therefore it can swim even in a very violent tide without being disturbed. Have you noticed that? Little fish. But if an elephant goes in, it'll be swept away. So, no doubt, we're in a precarious situation in the material world. It's like an ocean. However, as we take these special days, like Nrsimha Caturdasi, to recommit ourselves to Lord Nrsimhadev and Lord Krishna, and remember Him, then we'll feel that shelter and we'll feel relief. Do you all feel relief by being in here? Hare Krishna. So we're going to have Krishna Katha, Nrsimha Katha, and we're also going to have a little kirtan. So we'll start off with some kirtan. And if there's anything I'm supposed to do or say in the meantime, let me know. Is there? Okay, I saw you smiling. I thought maybe I'm supposed to do something. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Vraja Jana Janjana Jashodanandana Vraja Jana Janjana Jashodanandana Vraja Jana Janjana Jashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashoda Nandana Vraja Janaranjana Junatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Premanande, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Harinam Mahamantra Ki, Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki, Shri Nrsimhadev Ki,
Jai.
Gaur Premanande. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari.
We're getting ready for the Abhishekam of Sri Nrsimhadev. Therefore, as the Lord is making his appearance, and we're getting close to dusk, the time that he appeared to save his great devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. And we'll chant a few prayers in greeting of Lord Nrsimhadev. Vagishayasya varane Lakshmi yasya chavakshasi Yasyaste hridaye sambit Tam nashingam maham bhaje Vagishayasya varane Lakshmi yasya chavakshasi Yasyaste hridaye sambit Tam nashingam maham bhaje Prahlada hridayaladam Bhakti Vidya Vidaranam Sharadindurachim Mande Pravindavaranam Harim Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Nrsimha. Prahlada Desha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Sri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Nrsimha. Prahlada Desha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Sri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Nrsimha. Prahlada Desha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase Aviravir Bhava. Vajranaka Vajradamshra Karmasayan Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha. Abhayam Madmani Bhuishta Om Shrom. Again. Om Namo Bhagavate Narasimhaya. Namaste Tejase Aviravir Bhava. Vajranaka Vajradamshra Karmashayan Randaya Tamo Grasa Grasa Om Swaha. Abhayam Atmani Bhuishta Om Shraum. Vagishayasya Varane Lakshmiyasya Chavakshasi Yasyaste Hridaye Samvit Tam Nrsimham Maham Bhaje. Prahlada Hridayaladam Bhaktya Vidya Vidaranam Sharad Indurachim Mande Parindavaranam Harim. Shri Nrsimha, Jai Nrsimha, Jai Jai Nrsimha. Prahlada Desha, Jaya Padma, Mukha Padma Bringa. Yadi Dasyasi Me Kaman, Varam Stam Varadarshibha. Kamanam Hridayasroham, Bhavatastu Vranevaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Purushaya Mahatmane Paraye Bhuta Singhaya Brahmane Paramatmane Ugropyadugravayam Sabhaktanam Rakeshari Keshari Vasupotanam Anyesham Ugavikramaha. Put up the Bhaktivinoda Thakur song, please. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Diva skill.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Hare Hare.
More violin, more flute.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Sit over here.
Rama,
Rama, Hare. Bring a microphone. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
He dushta hridoya kama Arirupuchaya Kutinati pratishtashya Satya sadara Hridaya Shodhanararu Krishneravasana Nrsimha Charane Mora Etokamana Kandiya Nrsimha Pade Magibo Kakana Nirapade Navadipe Jugala Bhajana Darshane Shehare Prasanna Hoibo Kabe Moredaya Kari Jajapi Bishanna Murti Dushta Jiva Prati Praladari Krishna Bhakta Jane Bhadra Ati Kabeba prasanna hoye Sri Kripa vachane Nirbhaya karibe Muda kinchane Chande Baisohe Sa Shigorangadane Jugalaba Jana Hao Rati Hao Name
Mama Bhakta Kripa Bale Vigna Javidura Shuddha Chitte Bhajoy Radha Krishna Rasa Pura
Mama Bhakta Kripa Bale Vigna Jabedura Shuddha Chitte Bhajo Radha Krishna Rasa Pura He boli kabe mora mustakau para Sriya Shri Charana Harshe Daribe Ishvara
Kabe mora mastaka upara Sriya Shri Charana Harshe Daribe Ishvara
Amani Jugala Preme Satvika Vikare Daraya Lutibo Ami Shrina Shinga Dware
Amani Jugala Preme Satvika
Within my sinful heart, the 6 enemies headed by lust perpetually reside, as well as duplicity, the desire for fame, plus sheer cunning. At the lotus feet of Lord Nrsimhadev, I hope that he will mercifully purify my heart and give me the desire to serve Lord Krishna. Weeping, I beg at the lotus feet of Nrsimha for the benediction of worshipping Radha and Krishna in Navadvip, perfectly safe and free from all difficulties. When will this Lord Hari, whose terrible form strikes fear into fear itself, ever become pleased and show me his mercy? Even though Lord Nrsimha is terrifying toward the sinful souls, he offers great auspiciousness unto the devotees of Lord Krishna, headed by Prahlad Maharaj. When will he be pleased to speak words of compassion unto me, a worthless fool, and thereby make me fearless? He will say, "Dear child, sit down freely and live happily here in Sri Gauranga Dham. May you nicely worship the divine couple, and may you develop loving attachment for their holy names. By the mercy of my devotees, all obstacles are cast far away. With a purified heart, just worship Radha and Krishna, for such worship overflows with sweet nectar." Saying this, will that Lord delightedly place his own divine lotus feet upon my head. I will experience sublime love for the divine couple Radha Krishna and undergo the ecstatic transformations called sattvika. Falling on the ground, I will roll about at the door of Sri Nrsimha's temple. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Jai Shri Narada. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.
Nitai go Haribo, Nitai go Haribo. Jai Nrsimha Dev, Jai Nrsimha Dev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Sai Go Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vanchakalpaturvasha Kripasanabeva Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Welcome, dear devotees from all over the creation. So happy to be together again. And here on Lord Nrsimha's appearance day, Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Vishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayambrupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamunyenam Dite Chere Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamudyenam Dite Chere Namineche Namirhate Shadamudyenam Nitai Namineche Namirhate Shadamudyenam Dite Cheritai Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. The story of Lord Nrsimha begins with the Kumaras going to Vaikuntha and not being treated well at the door. Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Ki Jai. Sriman Mahaprabhu Ki Jai. Shri Shri Panchatattva Ki Jai. That's why we should always have a good greeting station outside. Don't offend anybody. You don't know who they are. Because that's the mistake Jai and Vijay made. They thought, who are these kids coming here? It turned out they were great sages, so we never know. That's why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that a pundit, a wise person, is somebody who shows respect to everybody. Because he or she sees that the spiritual soul's there, therefore knows how to respect each living entity. In fact, that's the sign of an advanced person, Krishna says. Actually, Kavi Yogendra says in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Ishvare Taradineshu Balisheshu tu Satsucha Prema Maitri Kipopeksha Ya Karoti Samadhyamaha. He shows respect to different classes of people, and some people he leaves alone. So when the Kumaras were mistreated, they gave a curse. That's why they call it precursor. Because in all circumstances, you'll find in the Bhagavatam, in fact, the Bhagavatam itself is based on the precursor of Shringi, who utters a curse, and the vibration is very powerful, even though it seems like a punishment, actually, when it comes from devotees. It ends up being an opening for us to advance in Krishna consciousness. And in this case, it was the desire of the Lord to enact his Leela, because he can't fight with normal people here in this material world. He fights and enacts his pastimes. Maya javani kachanam ajnadhoksajamavyayam nalakshase mudhadrisha nato natya daroyata. He plays like an actor on a stage. And for that, he needs actors that are in his same troupe, not outsiders. So he needed Jai and Vijay, and they had the choice, taking 7 births as devotees in the material world, or 3 births, come back quick, as demons, and they chose the latter. And they became Jai and Vijay. Actually, Jai and Vijay became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaka, and then Ravana Kumbhakarna, and then Dantavakra and Shishupal. 3 different births they took, and in each one of them, they were vanquished by Krishna, which is a blessed kind of death. So, when Hiranyakashipu began his austerities, he did it with a vengeance in mind. His brother, Hiranyaka, had been killed by Varahadev, slapped him upside the head and killed him with his lotus hoof. And Hiranyakashipu gave solace to his family. You can see through the Leela how Jai and Vijay are playing these roles, because Hiranyakashipu himself instructed his family about how to process the death of Hiranyaka, who was a favorite in the family, and he had just been killed. So he told them that actually all of us are just travelers here in this material world. We're passing through. Just like travelers sometimes go to an inn and they sit down to have some refreshments together, and they chat and they make friends. Like I heard somebody the other day on the airplane yakking away about, I do this and I do that. He only talked about himself. He didn't let anybody else say anything. And then they get up and they go their separate directions. They never meet each other again. He said, that's our families here in this world. Stay for some time, think it's a big deal. And he told them other stories to help them detach from the material world, like the story of Suyagya, the great king, who had fallen in his last battle on the battlefield, biting his lip out of valor. His limbs were broken. His black hair was ashen because of the dust from the battle. And his queens held on to his body, and they wailed as the sun was going down, which was very inauspicious because it was time for the body to be cremated, and they wouldn't let go of it. Sound familiar? Paramedic for 20 years, he's seen it all. And then Yamaraj, hearing this wailing and understanding the discordant situation, came in the form of a 5-year-old boy and gave his company to these begrieved wives of the king. He asked them, "Why you're crying?" They said, "Our husband, the king, is dead and gone." He said, "I think you're mistaken because he's right here." And they said, "No, he's dead. He's gone." He said, "Not gone. He's right here. He has the same legs, same hands. Everything's same. I don't see any difference." And they began to think, and he said, "Actually, you never saw your husband. You mistook the body to be him." And then he also told the story of the birds that were protecting their nest. And then one day, the 2 birds went out to hunt for their babies. And when they came back, a cruel hunter had encircled the nest full of little baby chicks with his net and captured them. And the female bird, becoming so distressed, seeing her, what do you call it? When it's, Chicklets, but isn't there one word to describe the whole group? Like there's a murder of crows, there's that's what it's called, a flock. Yeah, flock. What if it's a bunch of babies? Anyway, a brood. She flew into the net, sacrificed her life, and then the male bird stood aghast and crying, lamenting, leaving himself open to be shot with the arrow of the cruel hunter. The end. That's the story. Yay! Welcome to Family Hour. So, this is the teachings of Hiranyakashipu to his family, that this world is temporary, we're just passing through, don't get sentimental, you're going to be shot and killed by the material energy. Hiranyakashipu, however, had his own designs on how to beat the system here in the material world by performing severe austerities. And people have tried since the time immemorial to conquer material nature and develop empires. But sooner or later they're vanquished. So Hiranyakashipu became very powerful through his austerities, so much so that standing on his toes from the Brahmarandra, fire was emanating. It was so intense that it was disturbing the devas. They didn't like to be disturbed. So they complained to the temple president, Brahma, who came down and said, "How can I help you?" And at that time, Hiranyakashipu was so accomplished in his austerity that he was a spirit soul who had taken shelter within his bones. There were an anthill that had grown up over him. Did you ever get any calls like that? And with this kamandalu, Brahma poured some nectarian water on the frame of Hiranyakashipu and restored his body. Beautiful golden hue and a body as strong as thunderbolts. And Hiranyakashipu asked for insurance. He wanted to buy insurance from Brahma, which is what everyone does in this world. I have a list, actually. There's home insurance, flood insurance, earthquake insurance, not very much, auto insurance, fire insurance, health insurance, dental insurance, but not very much, corporate insurance, unemployment insurance, a lot, whole life insurance, universal life insurance, term insurance, travel insurance, renter's insurance, mortgage insurance, flight insurance, credit insurance, cancer insurance, short-term medical coverage insurance, body parts insurance for athletes, global warming insurance coming soon. Hiranyakashipu wanted a complete policy from Brahma. All of these and many, many more. And the whole idea that I have here in this world is indemnification from death. Same idea Hiranyakashipu had. Just cover everything. There's one thing that he forgot about, however. He didn't read in the fine print, as you may know from any insurance policy, about acts of God. This is a legal term. Insurance doesn't cover acts of God. Of course, somebody will argue with me, no, I can give you insurance that covers acts of God. But Hiranyakashipu didn't think of that one. Maybe that's why we have it nowadays. And Brahma gave him all these benedictions. He ticked off all the boxes that he thought were giving him complete safety from losing his power. Everyone wants power. There's a philosopher named Michels, and he has this law of oligarchy. He says, you know about this? Did you just study it in sociology?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And Michel's iron laws of oligarchy are that as soon as people get power, human beings, conditioned souls, then they use all their resources to stay in power instead of doing what they're supposed to do. So Hiranyakashipu used everything he had, his intelligence and his austerities, to stay in power. And to get power, first of all, through his austerities, and then to stay in power, he wanted an ironclad policy, which Brahma granted him. Back then, just by speaking it, it was enacted. Didn't have to have it notarized or signed by anybody. It was done. And Brahma gave him these benedictions. So then Hiranyakashipu went about terrorizing everybody because he was a demon. And he trampled on everybody's rights. He didn't let the Gandharvas sing. He didn't let the Apsaras dance. The Kimpurushas were harassed by him. Everybody in the universe, every class of being, and we know this because after Hiranyakashipu, sorry to, spoiler alert, he gets killed. But after he's killed, all of the residents of the universe come before Nrsimhadev and offer prayers. And they all talk about how about how Hiranyakashipu, had ruined their lives. He took away all of their service. Whatever service they were doing, he took it away. He wanted to do it all himself. And he disallowed any of them to do any of the kinds of activities that they're normally accustomed to. So he disturbed the whole universe. And he then went on with his life, Hiranyakashipu, and he had a son. Of course, when the demigods found out that his wife was pregnant, they wanted to commit infanticide because they reasoned that if Hiranyakashipu was bad, then the baby that would come out of that womb would be maybe carrying on the dynasty, maybe even worse than Hiranyakashipu. So they took away his wife while Hiranyakashipu was away, and they intended to keep her in custody until she gave birth, and then they would kill the child. But Narada apprehended them and said, actually, this child in the womb is a great devotee. And Prabhupada mentions there that they accepted it because it came from Narada. You know, there's a mystic power. This is mentioned in the Yoga Sutras. If you always tell the truth, you're avowedly truthful, and you stick to that always, your words become so powerful that everyone believes you when you say something. And you can do a lot of good that way. So Narada's like that, and when he said that it's a great devotee, they believed him. So Prabhupada said, this is parampara. When an authority who's unassailable gives an instruction, then those who are faithful understand it and they carry it out. Today's a special day. It's a welcome. It's a day of... there are many different days that we celebrate here. It's kind of special because we haven't been in this room for very long, for a long time together. And today is a day when we're celebrating one of the avatars of Krishna. Krishna is a name for God, means all attractive. And the avatars means, an avatar in general means one who descends. We're in a world in which we're practically helpless, according to our teachings. And God comes from time to time, sends his representatives also to the world. And when they come, when God comes to the world, it's called avatar, which literally in Sanskrit means one who comes from a higher level and descends to a lower level to give us help. Does that sound like a good idea? Yeah. If so, please say, I need help. You got to put a little more into it. Yeah, that's all there is to it in any spiritual process. If you admit, I need help. I'm not God. There is a God, I'm not him, and I need help. Those are basic premises that will empower you on your spiritual path. So today is a day when one of the avatars appeared many thousands of years ago. And on our calendar, we mark these days and we have a special celebration. We are monotheists. We don't believe in many gods. There is one God. But just as we have many names, like, anybody here have a nickname? Huh? Mona. It's Monisha. Some people call her Mona. And anybody else? So we could start calling you by your nickname. Some people call you son. Other people call you brother. There are a lot of different names that we have according to our relationship. God has many different relationships that he extends to us in the world, and therefore there are many different names. But he's the same person, and he avails himself in different ways to his devotees in the world. Just giving a primer of our philosophy, since you so kindly came. The avatar that appeared on this day is called Nrsimha. So Nri means human and Shringa means lion. So Nrsimha means half man, half lion. And I'm just partway through the story of why he appeared. So, Hiranyakashipu was about to have a son. The demigods apprehended the wife of Hiranyakashipu. They intended to do away with the son right after it was born. But Narada, the great saint, informed them that actually it was a saintly person within the womb. So Narada took the wife of Hiranyakashipu to his ashrama and gave instruction to the child within the womb. So this is an important point because transcendental sound vibration penetrates anywhere. And listening from within the womb, the baby, Prahlad, imbibed the teachings of Narada, who became his spiritual master. And after he was born, it was evident that he was saintly. His father, however, was not so much. That's why he's called Hiranyakashipu. He was interested only in getting comfortable in the material world. So, Hiranyakashipu, like any good father, was extremely happy to have a son named Prahlad, and he named him Prahlad, and he sent him off to learn how to be just like him, like many fathers do. And after some time, he had his teachers named Shanda and Amarka. They were really high-class teachers who knew how to teach well, and they knew all the stuff that Hiranyakashipu wanted the son to know. Brought Prahlad, little boy, when he was about 5 years old, to meet his father after school one day. And his father very affectionately said to him, "What's the best thing that you've learned in school?" Kind of like Vrindavan Priya does here. He asks the kids. He's not here, I was just remembering. He always asks, what do you like best about ISB? So his father said, what do you like? What's the best thing you learned in school? And Prahlad said, Sadhu manye suryavarya dehinam sarasamudvigna diyam asadgrahat hivatma patam grihamanda kupam vanam gatoya dharmasrayeta. Which means he addressed his father not as, "Oh, my father." He said, "Oh, best of the demons. Asurya Varya Dehinam. Oh, best of the demons." People who are dedicated to materialistic life should detach themselves from that situation. It's a dangerous situation. And he said, go to the forest. Vanam gato means, vana means forest, and gata means get going. Go to the forest. Give up your attachment to the temporary life and go to the forest to cultivate spiritual knowledge. Prabhupada writes in the purport that that's about going to Vrindavan, the spiritual forest of Vrindavan. And his father wasn't expecting that. He thought he was going to talk about politics, what he had seen on CNN or something. And he was disturbed. So he turned to the teachers, Shanda and Amarka, and said, "What are you teaching him?" They said, "Not us. We didn't tell him anything about Krishna. We're not teaching him about renunciation or God. We're telling him to be like you." And his father said, "Well, go back and try harder." So Prahlad, they took him back into school. Here are your lessons. And they inculcated everything they should inculcate into little Prahlad. He tried hard. And later on, at another time, he came back from school and the teachers brought him before his big emperor father who was sitting on a throne and appreciating his power. And he asked his little son with great affection, "Tell me now, what did you learn?" Because he was sure with this new enthusiasm from the teachers they had brought the new and improved Prahlad. So here's your new and improved Prahlad. Tell him, Prahlad. And then he told him, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Padasevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam Inti Pumsart Pita Vishnu Bhaktishchin Navalakshana Kriyeta Bhagavatyada Tanmanye Ditamutamam. He said there are 9 processes for worshiping God, starting with hearing about Him, singing about Him, remembering Him, worshiping Him, worshiping His lotus feet, becoming a friend, giving up everything for Him. And when Hiranyakashipu heard this, he was incensed. And then he started to scream at Chandanamarka again, the teachers. And then they pushed back a little bit. You'll notice this in the Bhagavatam. They pushed back, which is kind of amazing. He said, look, we're doing our best. And we're Brahmins also, so don't get on our case. Because our father is Shukracharya. And, we're not nobody. So don't push us around so much. So Hiranyakashipu wanted to know from his son, where are you getting all this? So then Prahlad said, Matirna Krishne Parataksatova Mitopi Padyeti Grihavartanam Adanta Gobir Vishitam Tamishram Punak Punascharvita Charvananam. He just blatantly told him that, people like you who are fully absorbed in dedicating their consciousness to enjoying the material world are like those who chew that which has already been chewed. Matirna Krishne Parataksvatova Mitopi Padyeti Griha Vitanam Adanta Gobir Vishitam Tamishram. And you're falling down into a dark place. And then he told him, Nate viduswata katimhi vishnum durashaya ye bahir artamanina. Anda yatandir upaniyamanas tepisha tantra uridam nibhada. That people in materialistic society catch on to a person who's blind, and then they all fall into a ditch because they're following the wrong leader, and they don't know that the goal of life is God. And he's describing materialistic civilization, where everyone's following some icon, thinking that this person is my hero, but actually that person doesn't know what he or she is doing unless they have a goal and dedication to develop love for God. So these are the things he told his father, and then finally he told him, Naisham matistavadarukramangrim sprishart yanarta pagamo yadartaha mahiyasam padarajobhishekam nishkinchananam navranita yavat. And that is that the only way that you can actually make advancement in spiritual life is to connect yourself with a very advanced saintly person and learn how to do service and take the dust from that person and take a bath in it. It means be very humble, and from association with an advanced saintly person, then you can come out of this situation. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being Hiranyakashipu loved these verses, and 1 he was, and 1 not so much. Where do you think it was? Like a 1, right? Yeah. So, and then Hiranyakashipu actually, the origin of child abuse in the universe, he tried to kill his child in many, many ways, but Prahlad was protected. Krishna protected him. Every time that his father tried to kill him, he protected him. Then Hiranyakashipu became worried because he thought, here's somebody that's as powerful or more powerful than I am, because I tried hard to get my powers, but this little boy is 5 years old, seems tender, innocent, but I can't kill him. And he won't bend to my will like everybody else. As Prahlad was dedicated to God. And he was being protected. And this is an important point that Krishna makes in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Ananyas chintayantamam ye jana paripasate. Tesham nityabdyuktanam yogakshemam bahamyaham. And that is, if you give your heart and soul to me, Krishna says, absorb your mind in me, serve me in all ways, then I'll carry what you lack and I'll preserve what you have. And I'll do it personally. And this is a profound realization for those who inch into the process of worshiping God and then realize step by step that really Krishna's controlling everything and taking care of every living entity anyway. But for devotees or those who are fully dependent on him and fully thinking of him and worshiping him, he reaches out his personal hand in their lives and takes care of them in many different ways, in all ways. So Hiranyakashipu was concerned. He couldn't kill his son. And then he finally challenged him. And was with his personal sword. He had deployed others, his surrogates, to try to kill Prahlad previously. But now he was going to do it himself. He had a little more confidence in his own strength. So Prahlad was standing before Hiranyakashipu, and Hiranyakashipu asked him, where is this God that you say you're taking shelter of? And Prahlad said, oh, he's all-pervading. I see him everywhere. And then Hiranyakashipu said, then, is he in that pillar? And there was a pillar in the palace. And Prahlad said, yeah, he's in that particular pillar. I see him. Because devotees, premanjana churita bhakti vilochinena, they're able to see God within their heart, and ekopya sora charitam jagarandakoti. They see him in every atom. Because Krishna reveals himself to his devotees. He's always present before them. And Hiranyakashipu then, in a challenging mood, with his sword, attacked the pillar to show his prowess, as if by attacking the deity that he'd actually be able to harm the deity and so forth. So he said, if he's in this pillar, and the pillar cracked, and that's when Nrsimha, the avatar of Krishna, who came as a half man, half lion, very fearsome form, burst out of the pillar. And then a fight ensued, because Hiranyakashipu, still thinking that I have some chance, began to fight with Lord Nrsimha. And you know how cats play with their prey? You do? You've seen it? Catch a mouse, let it go, catch it again, let it go, catch it again. You're there half an hour ago. It's like, come on, either eat it or not, but they play. So Nrsimha's half lion. So he was fighting with Hiranyakashipu, and he let him go. And the Devas, these are empowered beings in the universe who are watching this fight, became frightened because they thought, oh, whoever this fearsome form is, they weren't even sure it was an avatar. They didn't know who it was fighting with Hiranyakashipu. They thought maybe Hiranyakashipu has got the upper hand and he escaped. It's like one of those championships where at the last minute, you think the team's going to lose, and everyone's like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my life. So they were watching like that on the edge of their clouds, and they were afraid because they had something to lose. So, which was their freedom, because they actually wanted to see Hiranyakashipu killed. And then they reasoned that now Hiranyakashipu saw us cheering on Nrsimha, and now if he loses, if Hiranyakashipu wins and Nrsimha loses, then he's going to be twice as harsh as he was before. So they were very worried. So then Nrsimha, in this iconic pose, grabbed Hiranyakashipu, stretched him across his lap and bifurcated him with his sharp nails. And, well, there's more to that. It's a little gruesome. But this is family hour, so I won't go into it. But actually, interestingly, the acharyas, who are the previous teachers, great masters of the process of bhakti yoga, talk about this pastime of Lord Nrsimhadev. And they mention that when he was bifurcating his chest with his sharp nails, he was musing in a way, saying, how to his devotee, Hiranyakashipu, a parent demon, but devotee, how did you let such impurities come within your heart? And it was actually a very loving thing, although externally it looks like it was something that was quite violent. Of course it was violent, but it was a purification. Oftentimes the reversals of fortune we have in this world that seem to be the end of the world or seem to be something disruptive of our lives. Anybody notice anything like that lately? Anywhere? It's constant. But for those who have this faith that everything's moving by Krishna's arrangement, and even the missteps or the reversals of fortune are his arrangement for me. Those are the great souls. So, in killing Hiranyakashipu, Lord Nrsimhadev kept intact his entire insurance policy that he had made with Brahma. Because although he had received the boon that he wouldn't be killed by any weapon, you can't consider nails really a weapon. They're not registered as weapons anywhere, nails. And he said, I won't be killed inside or out. But he wasn't killed either inside or outside because he was on the threshold of the palace. You know, it's like not even the veranda, just outside the door, but not outside all the way. Then he said, I won't be killed by any man or animal. So he wasn't man or animal, he was a combination of both. And I won't be killed at day or night. And I read up on it in twilight. Actually, twilight's in the morning. I never knew that. After 65 years, I didn't know that. So actually, the evening time, the last hour before sunset's called golden hour. I think photographers came up with that, right? In any case, it wasn't day or night because it's a sandhya, or the in-between time between day and night that he was killed. Just around now. Huh? Yeah. But I couldn't find that dusk was anything but synonymous with the sun going down. I was looking for an actual demarcation or a name of the demarcation before it goes down. Just like before the sun comes up, there are various levels of light that come up. It's called twilight. Come on, you know everything. All right. So it was at a junction, the junction between day and night. It wasn't in the day or the night. So Krishna is intelligent, the most intelligent. He can keep intact whatever kind of ideas I have for my safety or indemnification from the laws of nature that I make in this world will be somehow rather breached by the power of the material nature, what to speak of by Krishna himself personally, as in the case of Lord Nrsimhadev. So after he's killed, Nrsimhadev is still angry. Why is he angry? Because someone attacked his devotee. So Krishna's the devotee of his devotee. And Prahlad Maharaj then, well, first of all, as I mentioned earlier, all the residents of the universe came forward to offer their prayers to Nrsimhadev, one after another, different groups. But he was still angry. He wasn't pacified. So Brahma, the chief demigod in the universe, pushed Prahlad forward, just a 5-year-old boy, said, you offer prayers, he came for you. So Prahlad then, in these beautiful and notable prayers that are there in the 9th chapter of the 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, began to pray to Nrsimhadev, and he starts off by saying, what can I say? I'm just a boy. And after all of these devas who are fluent in Sanskrit and are highly learned, they're Brahminical, it means they're in the highest level of existence in the material world. They offered prayers and you weren't pacified. What can I say? And then he remembered Gajendra, who was an elephant, who had pleased the Supreme by his simple prayers, helpless, in a state of helplessness, and called out to him, and he remembered Gajendra. So then he said, if I'm just sincere and I try to pray, then maybe I can do it too. In fact, he's not maybe, he said that definitely it can be done. Then there's a series of prayers by Prahlad Maharaj that are very important, in which he describes, one of them, just as an example, is that he said, why would I want to try to hold on to this world when I already saw that the most expert materialist I've ever seen in my life, or anybody's ever seen for that matter, my father, Hiranyakashipu, lost everything in the blink of an eye. And I have no confidence in trying to enjoy the world at all. And so I'm going to dedicate myself to service to you. So after these prayers, Nrsimhadev then said, I want to give you a benediction. Please take a benediction. Prahlad said, I'm not a merchant. I don't worship you because I want anything in return. I'm not a vanik, which means, a mercantile person. They're into trade. It's like, I have this much, I give you, now you give me back. I put in $1, now later on you give me back 20. He said, I'm not like that. I'm your servant, you're my master, that's it. That's our relationship. I serve you just because I'm your eternal servant, you're my eternal master, and I don't want anything in return. And Nrsimhadev said, no, take something, because I'm God, and I give benedictions, so you take. And Prahlad said, no, not taking anything. Nrsimhadev said, you take. Finally, Prahlad said, if you're to offer me any benediction, he asked for 2 things. He said, please make it so that within the core of my heart, there's no material desire whatsoever. That's the only benediction I ask. And please also save my father. This is the same father who just tried to kill him. And this is the heart of a Vaishnav. It's totally compassionate. And when he's asked for what benediction you want, he says, the benediction I want is that there's no material desires in my heart, only desire to serve you. That's all I ask for. So Prahlad Maharaj is the subject of the 7th canto. If you measure which topics are there in the entire lengthy 7th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Nrsimhadev makes a very short appearance. He just comes in, tears apart Hiranyakashipu, and that's it. But Prahlad is featured throughout as a tender child, offering instructions to his classmates and also praying to Lord Nrsimhadev. These are memorable prayers which have been repeated over millennia. People remembering what is the basic entry-level standard for the process of Krishna consciousness or bhakti, or what we call devotional service. And that is, I don't want anything except to serve. I just want to serve Krishna and Krishna's devotees, and whatever I have for myself, it's only so that I can go on serving. And that's Prahlad is the emblem of that. Interestingly, in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, when Narada Muni is trying to find the devotee who's received the most mercy from Krishna and is interviewing different people, observing them, when he comes to Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad said, I didn't get much mercy, actually. He said, because I didn't get any service. He just came and saved me, but he didn't give me specific service to do. And that actually is very telling, because when you get service, then you can go on doing that eternally, if you're granted some service. Like SKP, we just walked in with the list. Hare Krishna. We're fortunate because we've been given some service to do, and that's the greatest benediction that we can have. So a couple of what time is this class over? I'm forgetful right now. 7:15, thanks. We'll take a few reflections or questions to amplify the conversation. Satyade Prabhu, would you like to say anything? He'll do it. He'll say. No? Yeah, give it to him. He'll take.
Well, thank you for the wonderful talk, Vaisesika Prabhu. It's nice to be back here. And this is one of my favorite days just because of Prahlad Maharaj, like you've been glorifying him and his exemplary service to the Lord. And how happy he was just to be a servant, and how he had no doubt in the protection of the Lord. And his trials and tribulations are so much greater than anything we really face. I mean, not too many of us have a father that wants to kill us. And in spite of all that, in spite of his father wanting to kill him, he didn't hate his father. And actually, he had compassion for his father. So he's a devotee that we can all want to try and become like. Ijo desu.
Domo arigatou gozaimasu. Let's hear if anybody else has any reflections or questions. Yes, please. Hare Krishna. And welcome back.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you for such a nice class. The nice thing, Lord Nrsimhadev had come and saved Prahlad from this horrific demon, who it was such an obstacle in Prahlad's life. But for us, he's so significant because he removes all the obstacles in our heart that inhibit us from fully engaging in devotional service.
Yes. In fact, one of the statements, Bhakti Vigna Vanashana Shrina Sringadev Ki Jai, we do in the Prema Dhvani. As it's mentioned, Vigna means the obstacle, so Bhakti Vigna. Any obstacles to Bhakti, Bhakti Vigna Vanashana. Vinashana means one who destroys all of them. Shrina Sringadev Ki Jai. So your point is very well taken. Sometimes people think, oh, Nrsimhadev, like let him destroy all my enemies. But actually, the mood of the devotee, like Prahlad Maharaj's mood, that my enemies, he said, there are no enemies in this world except my own uncontrolled mind and senses. The enemy is me. And one of Prabhupada's Godbrother's disciples, named Srila Govinda Maharaj, once said that my religion is to find my own faults. What is your religion? My religion is to find find the faults in myself. I'm too busy doing that to find them in other people. It keeps me busy all the time. Yes, Kanka.
I was listening to a class today, and they were talking about when Hiranyakasipu was questioning Prahlad, what have you learned in school? It could have been ordinary, like, oh, well, he's a 5-year-old. He's just talking nonsense, and sent him back. But because Hiranyakasipu was so envious, and he had so much fear of Vishnu, that he took it really seriously.
Yeah, and I alluded to that earlier about the reason for fear in the material world is because I have a vested interest in the world. I want something out of it. Like I have a little chip in the game here, and therefore I don't want to lose it. And, there's two sides to that. One side is like, well, surrendering to God, actually, that sounds really scary, risky, because what's left in it for me is one thought. And the other is trying to get this insurance policy that nothing will happen to me. And this, Shukadev spoke to Srimad Bhagavatam. Who could be an emblem of detachment more than he? His style was to wear no clothes at all. Wasn't interested in the latest styles. Had no interest in the material world. In fact, his father had to attract him back into the family by speaking the words of the Bhagavatam and so forth. And he says at the outset of the Bhagavatam, Deha patra kalatradeshu atma sainu satsapi tesham pramotanitanam pashanapina pashati. That whatever ways you try to fortify yourself in the world are like taking the help of fallible soldiers. All of the things I think I'm going to be protected by, my body, my family, my nation, and so forth, they'll all fail at a particular time. But only Krishna, only God can protect us ultimately. Yes?
Also, one of the things that Srila Prabhupada said that by worshiping Lord Nrsimhadev deities in our temples, we're asking him to protect the Guru. 3 things: the Guru, the devotee, and our ISKCON movement.
Yes, and we won't go into the history of that, but that's a fact. Prabhupada started that, you know better than I, to bring Lord Nrsimhadev to help us. Very interestingly, we sang the bhajan earlier, and we found from Bhaktivinoda Thakur a few years ago, in which he talks about how getting Lord Nrsimhadev's mercy awakens one's love for Radha and Krishna also. This is amazing. And he's all pervasive in the Bhagavatam. Of course, we have this whole 7th canto with his pastimes, and then you find him throughout the Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Nrsimhadev is there among the devotees. There's even Nrsimhananda Brahmachari, who's famous, and so forth. So he's definitely integrated into all the Gaudiya Vaishnav worship everywhere.
Hare Krishna, Gurudev.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisance.
Right.
We believe, well, at least I believe, that Krishna has a plan for everything in this material world. So I wonder is Hiranyakashipu important character in his plan, so that we take like a lesson of such characters exist in everyone's heart, and we need to get over it. We need to clean our glass box, like Prabhupada says. So is Hiranyakashipu an important character?
Is there what?
Is he an important character that Krishna placed in this material world so that we take some lessons from it?
Yes. I mean, think of the name. Hiranyakashipu means, Hiranya means gold, Kashipu means soft bed. And so, I mean, there's this idea there that, okay, this is what everyone wants here. Posturepedic, whatever your number is thing. I don't know what all that is. Yeah, just as long as I'm comfortable, that's the emblem of being comfortable in this world. Take by contrast, Shukadev Goswami said, hey, aren't there places you can lie down on the ground? You know, what do you need a bed for? What do you need a pillow for? You just use your hands, that kind of thing. I'm not necessarily advocating that, but Shukadev was. And so it's like, don't overcomplicate life here in the material world and think that this is the goal, so they get comfortable. Bhagavatam says, Kamasya nendriya pritir, labo jivete yavata, jivasya tattva jignasya, narto yascheha karmavi. Whatever kind of sense gratification you take in this world, just take it so you can remain healthy enough so that you can go on doing your service and inquiring about God. And that's the purpose. So yes, he's iconic, and there's a way in which the story looms large amongst all the devotees everywhere as a reminder of how Krishna takes care of his devotees, and also how futile it is to try to arrange a situation in this material world. And as you're pointing out too, we may have that tendency that I'm a little Hiranyakashipu. Where's my insurance policy so everything works out? Actually, God, that won't happen because I got it all covered. Besides, I got a lot of money. And the Prabhupada points out, in his neighborhood, he found there was a very wealthy man in the Calcutta neighborhood, and he had received a grim prognosis. He was to die, within a month or so. And he had a lot of money, so he brought in a crew of doctors, and he said, can you please give me 4 more years? I have all these plans. Just give me 4 more years, I'll pay you anything you want. And they're like, what could we do? And that's actually one of the prayers of Prahlad Maharaj. It says, Balasya neha sharanam pitaro nrsimha, nartasya chaganamadan batimajato no, taptasya tat pratividir arihanjasheshtas tavad bibo tanubitan twarupekshitanam. If you got if there's a boat on water, it can't necessarily save a drowning man. Remember the Titanic. If you got a disease, you go to a doctor and you say, can you help me? And they'll say, we'll try. And by the way, can you sign this paper that if we accidentally kill you in the process that you won't sue us? Or of parents, they try to protect their children, but they're not always successful. And why? Because upekshitanam, if Krishna doesn't have that in mind at that particular time, then you can't do anything. We're helpless. Even taking medicine, ashauri chintayat vishnum. When you take medicine, you're supposed to say, this will only work if God makes it work. Otherwise, it's not independently powerful. Nothing is and nobody is. So yes, it's a supreme reminder of, don't try to organize your life in such a way that you can stay in the material world and enjoy forever, because you can't. Be like Prahlad. That's our t-shirt. Yes.
So one of my favorite verses that we sing during the Nrsimha prayers is the Yadi Dasyasi me kaman. Yadi Dasyasi me kaman varamstam varadashaba kamanam hridyasmro asamroham bhavatastu vinay varam. And I always marvel that a 5-year-old boy is so keen on his bhakti towards Lord Nrsimhadev that he says, if you at all want to give me anything, please remove the desire for material enjoyment from the core of my heart. And I also wanted to share, when everyone was speaking about how Nrsimhadev practically removes all the obstacles from our spiritual life, there was something Pankajangri Prabhu had mentioned to one of the devotees in Mayapur, and this pastime was shared, that when Radha and Krishna are enjoying their pastimes, they are not able to, or we don't go and ask them to serve us and say, please remove this obstacle, please protect me. But Lord Nrsimhadev has manifested himself in such an approachable and practical manner where we can approach him for our personal protection. And I thought that was very sweet of the Lord to come in that particular manifestation.
What a nice appreciation and a remembrance of Pankajangri Prabhu and Janivas. Thank you very much, Priya Kishori. Well, that brings us to our final point.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu, for
Krishna.
the nice class. I was thinking how Prahlad Maharaj is so compassionate and forgiving. that when he was asked for benediction, along with others, he asked for the father to be saved. So, we also in our life go through certain incidents and certain things which kind of make us feel away from certain people. But then I was thinking we should learn to be more forgiving and compassionate towards everyone, because we are not the controllers, and whatever happened to us are all happening based on the plan of the Lord, and we are all just playing a little part here. So there is no reason to feel different kinds of feelings towards anyone in this world. Ultimately, everybody is doing their little part for me to learn something in this world. So we can learn from Prahlad Maharaj, I thought.
Wow. Thank you. That was beautiful. Forgiveness is our superpower. Really, it's the ornament of the advanced person. It's a empowered ability. To be able to forgive actually requires very high realization and purified heart. And we see that in Prahlad. And thanks for reminding us of how important it is to practice that and to see how everything's going on by Krishna's arrangement. Doesn't mean that there isn't some due process at some time. But that is, in other words, we're not just doormats and somebody will violate you or your family and then just say, I forgive you, it's no big deal. We can forgive simultaneously even while protecting and doing our best. We have to do that. And we also, if there is someone to be rectified, must be done also. It can be done with a forgiving heart, but it's done methodically nonetheless. So both things go on at the same time in a very practical way. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you to our elder friends who've come here all the way from Salt Lake City to enlighten the people of Silicon Valley, I hope. We need you here. Please work hard to help the people of our distressed city. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So now what we have is a ceremonial offering of results. See, we go around door to door also, We watch you guys. We follow you. And thanks, by the way, for the court cases that you've done in the past to help open up the whole world. So all of us can have religious freedom. Don't think we don't appreciate it. Right now, we'll have a reading of the scores of the number of books and other kinds of things that we've distributed door to door and in other venues. We won't tell you where they all are because then we'll have competition. I'm just kidding. We'll tell you. And they're going to be read by our co-leader of outreach. This is Sri Krishna Purushottam. You see him right there? Right there. Meet our elders right behind you. Turn around. The elders behind you. The Mormon elders. Okay, thank you. They're called elders. So we can stand up somewhat socially distanced with open ears and hearts. Hare Krishna.
Anyway, I think you probably got it. Very good. You just send at the end here. Yeah, down there. Okay. Okay, cool. Okay, that's it.
Hello, everybody. If you can all come just a little bit closer and, well, not too close. I don't know anymore. Anyway, everyone can be quiet. When I say 3, 1, 2, 3. Please proceed.
Hare Krishna. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to your divine grace. We are gathered here on the most auspicious day, the appearance of Lord Narasimha Dev, to offer the results of our monthly Sankirtan festival. Ugram Veeram Mahavishnam Jalantam Sarvatomukam Narasimham Bhishanam Badram Mrutyom Namamyaham Ugropi Anugrevayam Sabhaktanam Rukakeshari Keshari Vasapotanam Anyesha Ugravikramaha. Although very ferocious, the lioness is very kind to her cubs. Similarly, although very ferocious to non-devotees like Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narasimha Dev is very, very soft and kind to devotees like Prahlad Maharaj. Beginning for the causeless mercy of Lord Narasimha Dev, Team ISV went on mission to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam sets and other books, one to and all. Our goal to distribute at least 25 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, organize a summit meeting with BBT staff, Suvas Prabhu. Highlights of this MSFR. During this unusual continued crisis of COVID-19, devotees are distributing books via Zoom calls, calling parties every single week, and distributed many Srimad Bhagavatam sets. We have an international calling party, ISKCON Hyderabad, ISKCON Laguna Beach also attended the calling party. Bhagavad Seva conducted a Ramayana course based on Balakanda, followed by the context. Several kids around the United States took part. They are about to bid in summer sessions in the June 1st week. Modal Gita is doing amazing community service, dispatching the thousands of books to hospitals. In total, Modal Gita dispatched 3,000 SSR for this MSF. Team ISV launched Bhakti Community, which is a holistic follow-up program which will be offered to all the people who take the books. These community offer podcast carefully through the courses which offer step-by-step guidance for the beginners in Bhakti and much more. San Francisco Bhakti Center devotees distributed many Srila Prabhupada books and collected $1,400 in Lakshmi points. Books are also shipped in prisons across North America. BBT Academic distributed many books on online stores. Western Sankirtan team distributed books in many venues. They are organizing traveling Sankirtan parties to distribute books to different states and also distributed books in Walmart Farmers Market. So they distributed 2,927 book points and collected 4,486 in Lakshmi points. On the auspicious occasion of His Holiness Indradumna Swami Maharaj 72nd Vyasa Puja, we got 20 Srimad Bhagavatam sets sponsored. As we make this offering of the MSF results, we are pleased to report that all goals have been successfully met, surpassed and smashed. Haribo. More than 100 devotees participated in book distribution. Team ISV distributed 52 Srimad Bhagavatam sets, out of which 32 are distributed, rest are sponsored. Team ISV distributed 2 Chaitanya Charitamrita sets. Total in book points, 8,714.9 in total book points selection. Team ISV collected total Lakshmi 16,648.09 cents. We express our deepest gratitude to our teacher, His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu, for teaching the art of book distribution and also art of online book distribution. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Our sincerest gratitude to Nirukula Mataji and all Srila Prabhupada disciples for inspiring on Sankirtan. We will pray to Lord Nrsimha for protection of all the devotees in India and worldwide. Nrsimha Bhagavan ki, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Bhagavan ki, Shriman Mahaprabhu ki, Gaur Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Special thanks to our co-Sankirtan leaders, Shri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu and Malini Devi Dasi. And now we'll have the Artik ceremony. Hare Krishna. Hey. Namo Om Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Bhakta
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
more violin. Can't hear you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanandi Haribo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare.
Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai.
Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya.
Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Govinda Jai Jai, Gopala Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jai Jai. Shri Nrsimha Jai, Nrsimha Jai Jai, Nrsimha. Shri Nrsimha Jai, Nrsimha Jai Jai, Nrsimha. Prahlada Desha Jaya, Padma Mukha, Padma Bringa. Prahlada Desha Jaya, Padma Mukha, Padma Bringa. Shri Nrsimha Jai, Nrsimha Jai Jai, Nrsimha. Shri Nrsimha Jai, Nrsimha Jai Jai, Nrsimha. Prahlada Desha Jaya, Padma Mukha, Padma Bringa. Prahlada Desha Jaya, Padma Mukha, Padma Bringa. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Jaya Nrsimha Dev. Haribo! Jaya Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Jaya Nrsimha Dev. Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Nrsimha Dev, Jai Jai Nrsimha Dev. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha. Shri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha. Prahlada Disha Jai Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Prahlada Disha Jaya Padma Mukha Padma Bringa. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 and Thai Gaura Haribo. Thai Gaur Premanande Hari 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 Haribo. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraja Kachajashtu Tarasat Shishimad Abhai Charanad Avinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayom Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraja Kachajashtu Tarasat Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Zikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gokopina Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Shri Mayapur Navadam Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Jamuna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Sambheda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Nrsimha Dev Avirbhav Mahotsav Ki Jai. Shri Nrsimha Caturdasi Ki Jai. Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsimhadev ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanandi Haribo.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadadayine. Praladadadayine. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Hiranyakashipurvakshaha. Shilatankanakalaye. Shilatankanakalaye. Hito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha. Hito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha. Yato yato yami tato Nrsimha. Yato yato yami tato Nrsimha. Bahi Nrsimha hridaye Nrsimha. Bahi Nrsimha hridaye Nrsimha. Narasimhamadim sharanam prapade. Oh Narasimhamadim sharanam prapade. Tava kara kamala nakam adhuta shingam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Tanubringa. Tava kara kamala nakam adhuta shingam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Bhakti Vignash Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki, Bhakta Shiromani Prahlad Maharaj ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Lakshmi Nrsimhadev Bhagavan ki jai. May I get the lights, please? Wow, look at this. It's like Nrsimhadev's appearance. Jai. Well, first of all, I'm so grateful to Nrsimhadev and to Srila Prabhupada that he has given us the taste of this family. And to see that family in person is just truly, truly blessings of Lord Nrsimhadev. So thank you very much for coming to the ISKCON of Silicon Valley. On the Nrsimhadev Appearance Day, after almost a year and a half, we get to see a lot of you. We are very, very indebted to the association of yours. Thank you very much. And I won't take much time. We also wanted to acknowledge our online family, that we miss you all and we can't wait to see you in person as well. We're counting the seconds, each seconds. So that's coming up soon too. Thank you. I won't take much time, and I won't bore you because you have a lovely, lovely prasadam, delicious Mahaprasadam of Lord Nrsimhadev waiting for you. I want to thank and acknowledge our beautiful outfit donor, and they didn't wanted me to mention their name, but I hope you all enjoyed their offering. And also wanted to thank the devotees. They have not lost the taste and the momentum. Look at the beautiful decoration done by Kalakeli and Braja Vilasini and her very, very lovely team. And all the prasadam that's been prepped by Sukamala Mataji and her team. So, I honestly speaking, I enjoyed this because, I missed it so much, acknowledging you all. So it's wonderful that, now they all come in, and little by little, we'll have more announcement coming up after the board has, finalized. We will share with each of you on the email. So look out for it. Krishna is willing, we will be all gathered in this temple hall in near future. So with that, I will have youth team lead us into the prasadam prayer, and thank you very much again. Hare Krishna.
Sharira Vidya Jodandi Hatayaka Jivi Phili Vishaya Sagore Dharma Jivayati Lobhamoy Sudumati Takijita Katina Samsare Please come take prasadam.